All right, welcome back to day number 25 of 30 Days of Q&A. We're approaching the finish line here. We have about 5 days left. And today I wanted to answer a question that came in from Brian. And Brian had mentioned that one of his biggest challenges is how can I ask for a sale without coming across the wrong way? And that's something that I think a lot of us, especially as musicians, we struggle with this idea of asking for a sale or making an offer because we don't want to come across in the wrong way. The reason that you became a musician probably wasn't because you were looking for the easiest, fastest way to make as much money as possible, right? Because if so, there's better career paths that you could take. But making music is more of a passion. It's something that it's about expressing yourself, and you love the feeling that comes from being able to share your music and the impact that you see it makes on other people. And maybe you've personally been impacted by music. And so it's pretty common to be worried about coming across in the wrong way. And the funny thing is that I would say probably 99% of this concern comes from the artists. Artists are a lot more worried about this than most of the fans. One of the biggest lessons that I could share, one of the biggest pieces of advice that I could share to be able to get over this mindset hurdle is rather than focusing on how you're coming across, think about the other people that you're making the offers to and ask yourself, how can I provide more value to them? If you're worried about coming across as salesy and coming across in the wrong way, then a big part of it is probably because you're thinking too much about yourself and you're being a little bit too self-conscious about wanting to come across the wrong way and make the right impression. And if you shift your focus and instead you're asking yourself, how can I provide as much value as possible to my fans and to other people, then that question is going to shift you in the right way. You're less concerned about how you're coming across. And instead, you're trying to figure out, is this something that's actually valuable to them? And if it is, then awesome. You're doing a disservice by not offering the thing. And the bottom line is that it's hard to know if something is valuable to someone else until you understand who they are and you connect with them, if it's something that they'd be interested in. And so in one of the previous videos, we talked about this idea of in-tune surveys. And the idea of the in-tune survey is really to get to know your fans, get to know your people that you're talking to, and ask them questions, and you see if let's say that you're offering a piece of merchandise, or you're offering an NFT, or you're offering something else. Then the only way to really know if that's going to be valuable for them is to get to know who they are and see do they own a bunch of band merchandise? Do they have at home? Is their bedroom just filled with posters and T-shirts and all of this stuff from band memorabilia? Because if so, then there's a much higher chance that what you're offering in terms of your band memorabilia is also going to be valuable to them. Right? That's just one example, but I really think that asking questions to get to know the people that you're connecting with, to know your fans who are listening to music, and asking them, what would you find valuable? What are you interested in? Here's a few things that I'm thinking of that that might be valuable, but I don't really know. Is this something that would be valuable to you? What would you like? They're going to tell you what they would find valuable and what they'd be interested in purchasing from you as an artist. And if there's someone that's interested in that, then it's not manipulative or salesy or anything. Like, rather than focusing on yourself and what am I getting out of this, if you stay more focused on providing value and thinking about what they're getting from it, and you're focusing on the benefits for them rather than thinking about the short term, about what you're trying to take from the situation, then that's going to remove a lot of the discomfort that comes from making offers. I think another piece of this is that it's pretty normal. Like, you shouldn't be hard on yourself if you're feeling awkward when it comes to making offers. Yeah, I talked about this in an earlier video when we were talking about tour hacking and how walking up to strangers in lines for shows and introducing yourself is terrifying. And your body literally tells you, do not go walk up and talk to these strangers. If you do this, you will die. And it's not logical. But apparently it's something that we evolved with because we evolved in tribes. And so the fear of rejection, if we did get rejected, if we made a wrong mistake, then we might actually get ostracized, and then we were likely to die. At least that's what I've heard from evolutionary psychology. But the idea is that it's very normal to have a fear of rejection. And the fear is not logical, but what the fear is saying is that if you get rejected, you will die. And the truth is that if you get rejected, you're not going to die. And if you have a T-shirt and you say, hey, would you like to buy this T-shirt? And they say no, You suck. I hate you. I can't believe you would try selling this to me. Even if they tore you down, then the likelihood that you'd be in actual physical danger or in threat is insanely low. And it's hard to get comfortable with making offers until you have the experience of doing it, right? And the more that you do it, the easier that it gets and the less self-conscious you're going to be as you're doing it. And I think it's a lot like playing shows and going on stage, right? When you, especially your first few times going on stage, some people you might be a natural, maybe you never got scared or nervous at all. But I know for me, I was a super shy, awkward kid, and going up on stage was terrifying. And even when I go up on stage and perform, or I'm doing a speaking event or anything, I still have excitement and nerves that come up. But I've done it enough now that I know that's normal, and I know it's okay, and I know I'm going to make it through to the other side. And so that's definitely part of the equation, is that anything, making offers is just an art, and you get more comfortable with it as you do it more often. The bottom line is you need to get good at making offers. For your business, your ability to make offers in a way that positions what you're offering in a way that's valuable for them is one of the most critical business skills that you can develop. Because for your music business, for your music career, your ability to make money is like your ability to breathe. It's like oxygen. When you breathe in and breathe out, in terms of your business, the breath that's coming in and the breath that's going out is like your income and expenses with your finances. And if you don't have a way to bring in income, if you can't breathe in, then you're not going to keep being able to release new music and breathe out. And it just can't happen. So there needs to be that in-breath, there needs to be the out-breath. And your ability to make offers in a way that's compelling, that actually allows you to bring in oxygen, is absolutely vital to your music career long-term, or else you won't be able to do it in a way that's sustainable, right? Unless you have an oxygen tube that's like coming into your neck from another source of income that's supporting you. So the last piece of advice that I have about getting more comfortable with making offers in a way that's authentic is not being attached to the outcome. And sometimes that's easier said than done, but usually if you're feeling stressed out or awkward, or you're worried about coming across the wrong way, then a big piece of that is because you're not really being present in the moment, and you might be in your mind thinking about the outcome and being attached to it happening in a certain way. As opposed to, if you can learn how to let go of that attachment to the outcome, and you're totally okay whether they say yes or they say no, then that just makes life a lot easier, and it removes the friction, removes the discomfort. If you're pressuring them or trying to force them into doing something, you're attached to the outcome, it's kind of this like contracted feeling, versus if you can kind of lean back and you can let go, and you can present the offer, and you can share it, and you can say, this is what I have based on our conversation. It sounds like something you might be interested in. Would you like to get the t-shirt? And you're totally okay whether they say yes or no. Then that's one of the important lessons, I think, in terms of being able to make an offer like this in a way that's authentic, that doesn't come across in the wrong way. It doesn't feel pressure or feel uncomfortable. Again, part of this just comes with the territory, so be easy on yourself. If you're making offers in the first place, you deserve a big pat on the back. It really is a numbers game. Some of the targets that we walk through in our masterclass when we're going through the fan-based economics, your target for your free plus shipping offer is 9 out of 10 people say no thanks, and 1 out of 10 people says yes, I want the free plus shipping offer. And the way that you're presenting the free plus shipping offer is basically, hey, I have this merchandise bundle. It costs $20 on my website. You can go check it out if you want to go see it. And as a thank you for joining my street team, I want to send you one of these starter pack bundles for free. All I would ask that you help cover the shipping and handling for it. Is that something you'd be interested in? And your target, if you're hitting your KPIs, which stands for key performance indicators, is 1 out of 10 people that you ask that to say, yeah, I want the starter pack. Basically the thing that I just cover the shipping for it. And if you're hitting those numbers, which is a very small percentage of people who actually say yes and purchase something, then that's all it takes to make it sustainable. So it doesn't have to be everybody. But if you aren't asking 10 people, if you ask 2 people, then that means that you won't, like, you're not going to make any money. You're not going to sell anything because you're not asking enough people. You're not making enough offers. So that's one principle that I think is really important when it comes to your music career, is understanding that the more new people that you're bringing in every single day, and the more relationships that you're building, the deeper you're connecting with those people, and then the more offers that you're making to those people that you've built relationships with. Those are like the 3 key factors in terms of you having a profitable business. And those are also classified as acquisition, engagement, monetization. So the more new people that you're bringing in, the deeper connection you're building with those people, and the more offers that you're making to those people. And we talked about the in-tune process, the in-tune survey. So that applies as well to your offers and the way that you're connecting with people. So it is possible that maybe if you have the wrong offer, that if it's not something that's really resonating or connecting with people, then that's something you only learn through having those conversations and making those offers and seeing what happens. And if you know that you're aiming for 1 out of 10 people that you ask the question to that say yes, then you should know after you ask 50 people to get it, roughly, how well is it working? So it helps to have some of these benchmarks that you're aiming for. But the bottom line is that the more offers that you make, the more people that are going to say yes. It's okay if not everyone says yes. And the whole time, if you approach it from a standpoint of, I'm looking to serve you and I'm looking to provide as much value as possible, and you ask questions to get to know them and see if it's something that they would be interested in, then that's going to allow you to overcome that mindset hurdle of feeling uncomfortable or feeling salesy when it comes to actually making the offer. All right. Any questions when it comes to that topic?
The only thing I thought of as you were talking was, if you've got this situation where you're throwing the hat over the fence and you really need to make the sale of this t-shirt in order to put a meal on your table tonight, it gets so I think it's still a bit of a luxury for some people, but no doubt there are people that make it from the I'm down to my last meal thing.
Yeah. Okay. That's actually a great question. Thank you for bringing that up. How can you be unattached to the outcome? What if you really do need to make the sale? Maybe you throw your hat over the fence, or you're really in debt, or your music career is about to die, or your music business doesn't have that oxygen flow, right? You've been holding your breath. It's like, I need oxygen. That's a hard question. That's a hard question to answer, because on one hand, it's totally understandable, and I've been there. Yeah, I've been there where I needed to make money very badly. And for me, it was when I stopped touring full time and I was about to be a dad, and I didn't have a source of income, and I needed to make money, not just for myself, but for my family. And I felt like a failure of a husband and a father, because I was at a point where I couldn't do that. I didn't know how, and I needed to figure it out. I needed to make the sale. When you're at that point, the best advice that I can give is that, one, it's okay, and if you can allow yourself to accept wherever you're at, it's okay. If your main goal, or if the thing that you need to do right now is make money, then embrace that. And there's nothing wrong with that. Businesses are designed to help you make money, and it is important to do that. And so it's okay to have that need. That being said, if you focus on that need too much, especially when it comes to this idea of making offers and making sales, then it's not going to be as attractive of an offer, and it's going to get in the way of being able to focus on the bigger picture, which is providing value and at the same time making money for you. And so if you're in the middle of that point where there is a strong need and the oxygen needs to come in, and the question is, how do I allow myself to let go of the attachment to the outcome? It is a little bit of a Jedi mind trick to be able to put yourself in a place where you can allow yourself to let go of the attachment to the outcome, and just recognize that you aren't going to die. You're no worse off if you ask and they say no, than you were before you asked. In fact, you're much, much better off if you ask and they say no than if you just didn't ask in the first place. And so I will say it gets a lot easier when you reach that point where you don't need it anymore. Then it does get a lot easier, and it is, it's funny. This is just how the universe works. But I remember when I was $36,000 in debt, and it was so hard for me to find support. I remember the credit card companies were all, we are not your friends, and we're not going to support you, we're not going to give you anything. When it's fine, this makes sense from a business standpoint. But then on the other side, now with a multiple seven-figure business, every single day I get so many credit card and people are saying, hey, take my money, hey, take this money, and trying to pretend like you have a relationship with them. Hey there, we talked 2 days ago, and does your business still need the hundreds of thousands of dollars? And it's because we don't need a loan right now. We don't need that influx of money. There's this idea of opportunity flow. And so at the beginning, before you've built momentum, opportunity flow, there's not very much. There's not as many new opportunities that are coming to you. And so at the beginning, you might want to be less selective. And if there's a good opportunity that comes, just say yes. Just say yes to almost anything, because an opportunity is better than no opportunity. And sometimes you can get your foot in the door, and if you take these opportunities, then you can start to build some momentum. As you grow, and as that snowball starts going down the hill, then opportunity flow starts to shift in your favor. And you start, opportunities start coming to you like gravity. And at that point, you actually have to learn how to say no a lot more. And it's more important now learning how to say no, because a lot of times you'll have multiple good opportunities and then you can't do everything. And so you have to decide, you know what, this is a good opportunity, but I'm going to say no to this, because if I say yes to this, it means I'm saying no to another opportunity. And there is that principle, I think, of opportunity flow. And I can certainly relate at the beginning when it feels like it's so hard to get that dang snowball going down the hill. What I can say is that if you stay persistent, you keep doing the right things. And again, it's better to ask and get a no than it is to not ask and not get a yes or a no. If you get one yes out of 10 asks, then that's all you need. And one of the best things you can do when you're at that point is embrace the fact that it feels harder, that you feel like there's a need there, and be okay with that. But at the same time, allow yourself to let that go as much as possible, and instead focus on them and what's valuable for them, asking them questions, connecting with them more, and then making sure to align the offers as much as possible so that you're actually creating things that are valuable for the other person.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And I do like the emphasis on the mindset and getting the mental toughness, because you do need to be tough.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I will say, I remember this one experience in my life early on with Paradise Fears, and I just remember this clearly in my mind, because it was one of my first realizations about the power of visualization. There was one night that we played a show, and it was a local show. And this was still very early on. This is before we had done anything with Paradise Fears. But we played this local show, and I think there was probably 5 or 6 different bands on the ticket. And I was probably reading the book Think and Grow Rich or something that goes into this idea of visualization. And I remember visualizing and imagining myself walking up to a bunch of people after the show who are just in the crowd. And I imagined myself walking up to them and talking to them and connecting with them and offering to sell CDs, and them saying yes, and me selling a bunch of CDs. And I visualized that. And I remember so vividly, because that night I went out and I did that. And it was like, I don't know, it was like on fire. It was like something just clicked, and just everyone I talked to, it was just gold was coming out of my mouth, and I was building relationships, connections, just having fun, and it was just in the flow. And I remember afterwards telling the story to Jordan, our guitarist in the band, and he was like one of my role models too. He was like 2 grades ahead of me. He was like one of the coolest guys I know. And I remember telling him about this, and he's like, yeah, that's so cool. I think there's a lot of truth to this idea of visualization. And I think that does help. And I think for me personally, when I was going tour hacking especially, and doing that that was an opportunity to make a lot of offers and to connect with a lot of people and to build relationships. And I do remember there's so much mental game in terms of being able to do that successfully. And a big part of it was around visualization as well, and being able to mentally rehearse yourself doing things and the outcome they want to have happen, like happening. If you can mentally rehearse it, again, it's like a jujitsu trick. It's like you mentally rehearse the thing that you want to have happen, your goal is you visualize it happening, but then there's a point where you have to let go. It's okay, I've done it, like I'm going to do this, but now I'm going to let go and whatever happens, you got to jump in. So I do think that's also a valuable practice, is that if you can just take a few minutes of yourself visualizing the outcome that you want to have happen before you do it, and then when you actually go into perform and execute, that's when you let go of the outcome and you just show up and you be present. And I think that is one extra kind of ninja trick to be able to do this successfully.
Indeed, I've even found that thinking about playing a guitar part, you can practice it wherever you are, on the bus, in the shower. You don't have to have a guitar in your hand. You just think about where the fingers are going.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I know that they've done some studies around literally testing people who are shooting free throws, and they had some people just mentally rehearse shooting the free throws, and they had some people actually practice it. And the group that only mentally rehearsed it, if I remember right, they were on par with the group that actually was shooting the free throws. And in some cases, I think they might have even outperformed the group, and they're just doing it by mentally visualizing themselves doing it. So that still boggles my brain. I don't fully understand that. But I do know from experience that that practice of visualization and seeing yourself doing the thing that you want to do successfully, and this goes into visualization for your life as a whole too. That's what the vision map that we walked through is all about. It's about visualizing you being the person that you want to be and becoming that person. And there's something attractive to, like, it literally pulls you towards that if you can allow yourself to actually visualize that clearly and let go of all of the resistance and all the stuff that kind of comes up. Because naturally what happens is, like, you visualize yourself in the future, it creates some cognitive dissonance because you're not that person yet. And you notice that cognitive dissonance and it comes up and you embrace it, you let it go. And now you're more in tune with that future self. So
Yeah,
that's been some cool stuff.
Sense. Cool.
All right, so that was day number 25 of 30 Days of Q&A. I hope it was valuable. And if you enjoyed it, if you could do me a favor and click on the like button, that lets YouTube know that this has been valuable for you. If you have any questions, feel free to click on the link in the description for the video, and you can actually submit your question, come on here live. And until next time. Yeah!